Vladimir Putin, the Wizard of Oz? Yet! No. Vladimir Putin is a complex illusionist. Vladimir Putin's objective is to play you, to play the world, to fool us all. Vladimir Putin's purpose is to win at any cost, no matter how many people are killed, even if they are all of Russia and the entire world. When Putin first came to office decades ago, he led the Russian nation quite competently, but he no longer possesses, for mental reasons, brilliance today. Under Putin's instruction, Russia invaded Ukraine foolishly with a plan that militarily was just nuts. He planned to take over a vast country, Ukraine, population 43 million, in 3 days with 200,000 soldiers, conquer Kyiv, and replace the Ukraine government. Yeah. Ask a simple question. How would 200,000 soldiers subjugate and defeat a population of 43 million defiant opponents in 3 days or in any time period? Russia's plan failed. Reasonably speaking, there was no chance that Putin's plan could have ever succeeded. The very fact that Putin executed Russia's invasion therefore stands as evidence on its own that Vladimir Putin has lost touch with reality, that at this time he is mentally impaired in that as the leader of a great country, he lacks the ability to see the reality of his certain military failure. Since then, Vladimir Putin has been like a fish on a hook, struggling not to be reeled into a fishing boat and killed like any fish. Every lie, every deception trying to avoid Russia's doom are met with failure. Everything he says, he does, becomes then a deception, a clumsy sleight of hand, because his attempts at magic simply are not very well presented. We should not be impressed or entertained by Putin's tricks, because illusions are not reality. His tricks are a bit like the Wizard of Oz, a little fellow behind this curtain. For us to get out of this war alive, I will explain Putin's tricks as we go through this presentation. Because if the world allows Putin to fool us even one more time, the fish will not only get away, but in the end, destroy the entire planet. Now, to be clear, Putin's intent is not to destroy the whole planet, but just to take it over. But his mind has so degraded that he cannot rationally reason or recognize that his plans now are so reckless that they threaten the certain extinction of all life on that planet. So let us then deconstruct his entire mess so that in the end we can all go back to living and getting out of this foolish war. But this one is long, because all Putin's tricks have to be revealed, and there are many. Putin communicates power by the place where he has his government's office. Putin carefully engineers how people see him, invoking symbolic power. For example, in the fantasy story of the Wizard of Oz, the wizard lives in a city designed to impress as a center of power and strength. Why? Because the wizard built that city to scare off from Oz both the evil witch of the north and the evil witch of the south. In this reality mimics art. The Kremlin, like Oz, is similarly designed so that foreign rulers and visitors recognize it as a seat of power. The Wizard of Oz presented himself thusly.
Who are you? Great and powerful Oz knows why you have come. Step forward. Well, silence. Bring me her broomstick, and I'll grant your request. I said no! Liquidated her, eh? Very. I'll have to give the matter a little thought. Go away and come back tomorrow. But arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz. I said come back tomorrow.
If you are really great and powerful, you keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures! Bring you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now. Oh, the great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
You are? I don't believe you.
No, I'm afraid it's true. There's no other wizard except me. You humbug! It's exactly so. I'm a humbug.
Oh, you're a very bad man.
Just a very bad wizard.
The wizard who presents himself as, quote, the great and powerful Oz, unquote. A giant-sized head floating above fire and smoke. This image was designed by its creator to produce fear, because a monster like this could kill anybody in a moment to serve its own purposes. Then we have Putin, just like Oz's monster, who then presents himself to the world as ready to use atomic bombs with fire and smoke, and that he can kill everyone in every country within seconds. Like the wizard's public presentation, he deliberately portrays power and anger to evoke from everybody not merely fear, but respect. The monstrous image of Oz yells out to the persons meeting this image, "Who are you?" For which everyone, seeing the fire, smoke, and anger of this threatening person, thinks to themselves immediately, comparatively, hey, I am nothing. But then we have the following scene where Toto, Dorothy's dog, pulls back the curtain, and everybody sees that this great and powerful Oz is not great and not powerful, but quite weak, phony. The Scarecrow character, whose insecurity is that he claims that he has no brains, just straw, yells at the wizard, "You are a humbug, a hoax, a false, lying witness." Sweet, harmless Dorothy tells Oz, the man, not the image, "I don't believe you." The wizard has no credibility. Dorothy concludes the whole obvious. You are a very bad man. Based upon what? This character, this false front? I ask you, is Dorothy right? Is the wizard a bad man or just a bad wizard? Is the Scarecrow right to call the wizard a humbug? Was Dorothy correct? She states to Oz, "I don't believe you." Now let us consider Vladimir Putin. I respectfully submit that Vladimir Putin presents himself deliberately in such a false way as a complete hoax, just as a wizard would, using misdirection 7 days a week, every hour he is awake in the Kremlin offices. To everyone, including himself, if Putin's lips are moving, Putin is lying. In this presentation, you will see this hoax with the very same surprise and shock as Dorothy did of the Wizard of Oz. Would you say just as sincerely as Dorothy to Vladimir Putin out loud, "I don't believe you. I don't see how you live this way and project yourself in this way to everyone"? For this, you need to see the evidence and have it explained to you. And when you have that evidence, and if you get that evidence presented to you as a clear explanation, will you then conclude, hopefully, that Vladimir Putin is very crazy, mentally impaired, very dangerous to life on this planet? As a sample, realize that for a magician to make magic, he has to control the environment. The magician, the wizard, needs props, mechanisms to make the trick work. I'm going to show you every trick, every prop, and explain each illusion. All magicians will call for volunteers in the audience to participate in each trick. And yet, before their eyes, the magician will perform the illusion, the misdirection. And everyone will wonder, how did he do that? It's all smoke and mirrors. Part of the magic, misdirection, and Putin works on these same illusions every single day, every hour of his life. President Putin has a number of different offices his use inside the Kremlin. I submit to you that every one of these offices is a set up like a movie set, specifically to trick anyone brought into one of those offices. For example, President Putin has 2 conference offices, and they look like this. Other than this, I doubt you have ever seen conference rooms used in this way. 2 conference rooms, each with very long tables, where Putin is sitting at the end of, and his volunteers in the trick are seated at the far end of the table. The table is the prop which facilitates the trick. Why is Putin seating his visitors so far away? Because this is magic, and it is all part of the trick. Putin has a rationalization, but I assure you that excuse is an absolute lie. What then is Putin's intent? These pictures have been seen all over the world because the seating is so strange. But no one seeing this trick or reporting it has yet to explain Putin's trick. You can guess as to what Putin is doing, but I am telling you right now, your guess or guesses are all wrong. Here is a picture of a great hall immediately adjoining the president's main office. The president uses this hall all the time for meetings with large groups again. Look at the seating. Why is Putin deliberately seating all of his guests now 40 feet from him all the time this way? Remember, whatever the reason is, it is part of the trick. You have no idea. Do you have any idea? You are mistaken, whatever it is. The conference room is for the magician, a prop. The seating is a prop and used in misdirection to produce an unexpected result. Putin uses his guests, his volunteers in the magic tricks as unwitting salesmen of his false narrative. Here's a third picture, this time of Putin's personal office. Here, in this office, Putin has yet another trick that he performs while he is meeting one-on-one with certain people when conditions are more conducive. If conditions are not right, Putin will meet in the rooms with the long tables or in the room that has the larger hall. I direct your attention to the small table at the front of Putin's desk. The small table with the two chairs placed directly opposite to each other. The placement of the chairs is very important to the success of the trick. He does the same trick here at this table with the two chairs. This trick with the small table is somewhat analogous to the Wizards of Oz's trick with the curtain. Just misdirection to build a false narrative. All three rooms are used by Putin to perform the same trick. Every one of these offices are for Putin a stage with the props, and he uses them to do tricks every day of his life. Blackstone and Houdini and every pickpocket on the planet would be proud of Putin, because up to now these tricks have worked. In 1973, Paul Newman and Robert Redford starred in a movie called The Sting. It's about two confidence men, crooks, who are continually doing cons to defraud and steal money from other people. This movie won 7 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and earned $173 million. People liked it. People will actually cheer the con men, so long as they are not the personal mark being conned. But how does the world then judge Putin when he plays his con game against every human being on the planet, including you? Basically, every one of these illusions, these tricks, are nothing more than cons to further his own false narrative. The props in each trick, special effects, they are deliberately repetitive stagecraft, or the performance are as important to Putin as Putin's words, in that he uses these illusions to sell the false narratives. But like the Sting, the best cons are the ones where the marks don't even realize that they have been played and taken to the cleaners. We will discuss Putin's cons as we review the facts of the case. But still you don't see the trick. And worse yet, you don't yet realize why Putin continues with these same tricks day after day. Patience. You need more information. There is no need for leaps of logic when you see all the evidence. the tricks, the purposes behind the Friends, thank you for visiting Welcome to Ukraine, this series, How to Stop Putin and His Nuclear War. Putin's like a puzzle. You can't begin to understand what Putin is doing unless you lay down and examine every piece of the puzzle one piece at a time. Do this enough, and you will not only empower yourself, but all of humanity by learning of the threat and the risk to all human life. How to defeat Putin and to stop its nuclear war to save all our lives. Be sure and come back tomorrow for the next installment, for the next step also in solving this hidden puzzle, because this issue is literally life and death for our species. Lives are at stake. Whose? Well, all of ours as well as yours. We must stand against this extinction of all mankind. We must not go quietly into the night. We must bring awareness to as many of our kind to encourage more opposition to Putin's nuclear war. Please help us to help you. Please visit us also on our parent site, Free Ukraine Gives. Remember, beloved, God loves you, so do I. Until the next time, this is your host, Pastor Bert, saying goodbye, friends.